Guy 5 Jeff from 2Hex Garage. Well, as you saw in a previous video, we showed you how to disassemble a head. Now we're going to show you how to assemble one. This part of the video is not going to include how to check for valve spring height. We do have another video on that. This is just going to be how to put the valves in, how to install the spring, the retainer, and the keeper, and just test for a quick fit on that. So with that, let's go ahead and let's get with Jimmy and let's walk through this. As you can see, this one's already assembled. We got this one done, but to complete what we're doing with this 521, we need to get the last few valves put on the head. And I figured, you know what, let's just, since we showed you guys how to take one apart, let's show you how to put one together. See you in a few. All right, so Jimmy's already measured for valve spring clearance. So now what he's gonna do is, or valve spring height, sorry. He's already put one of the valves in, and now he's compressing the spring back down over the valve. Now, mind you, with this, we'll go through the whole process again. The valve seal gasket's already on there. A little grease on the keeper. That holds it into place, especially working like this. And what he's going to do here now is he's going to actually put that in place and release the pressure on there. And there you go.
And it didn't fly off.
It didn't fly off. It's always a good hand to have some of these extra, because when they fly, they fly. Right there.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't have any extra, so we can't have that run that risk. So now what Jamie's doing is he's taking the new valve, lubing it up, and he's going to slide it within the valve guide. You want to make sure these are clean and just lubricate it up. He's just using, I believe, motor oil, right, Jimmy?
Regular motor oil.
Just regular motor oil. And he just goes ahead and he twists the valve in there.
Spin it in.
Does not just shove it in there. You just spin that thing in there.
Then I have to prop up the valve.
Yep. He's propping it up, and the reason he props that up, it holds the valve actually into place.
I'm putting a spring cup in it.
Yep. The Clay Smith spring cups. So now what he's doing is the spring cups are to hold the valve springs in there from walking around.
It holds them center,
Yep.
but it also keeps the valve spring itself from chewing into the aluminum head,
Yep.
which is a very good idea to do it. But the spring cups we got come in 50 thousandths. We had so much valve spring height we
Yeah.
had to account for. That's why we used the 50 thousandths
Yep.
valve spring cup.
So Jamie made a good point there with the valve spring cup. Not only does it hold it center, it also keeps the valve spring from chewing in the aluminum head. We'll walk through real quick just a step of him measuring up for valve spring height. So what he's doing now is he puts a retainer on. He's going to put some keepers with a little grease, and he's going to pull that up. So the valve's in place, the retainer's in place with the keepers, and now he's taking a snap gauge, and what he's doing, he's putting it in there between the cup and the actual retainer. And what that's going to do, it's going to get him the height he needs to know to how much we got to shim these up. Now, mind you, these valve springs are an install height of 1/800, and all of these heads, bosses, in here has been different. So we can't just assume we throw them in there, we're good. So Jimmy's doing his math. What did we come up with, Jimmy?
Oops. Sorry. Goop that one up. Start over. 2-0. I got 2" 9. I need one, and I subtract 1/800. I need 209 thousandths.
So right there, we need 209 thousandths shimming, if you want to call it, to bring this valve spring up to proper install height. The valve spring cups we have, they're 50 thousandths. They make up quite a bit of clearance. But what I did do is I ordered a comp cams kit to kind of make up for that. Be right back. I ordered a couple comp cams valve spring shim kits, and they came in with 3 sizes, 15 thousandths, 30 thousandths, and 60 thousandths. So Jimmy's just taking some of the various shims, and he is miking them to see how many he needs.
And crossing my fingers every step of the way.
Yes, crossing fingers every step of the way. Like you saw in previous videos, these heads within here, none of them were the same height. So we've had to check every single valve going in here. It's always a good idea anyway. Jimmy and I had a discussion. We're not really quite sure, like, if every single head is that way, but with these heads, a budget head, and you've seen the amount of work and rework we've had to do, so we're not going to trust that everything's true. So right now he's just going through and measuring and seeing what we need. Just a quick tip, if you do buy these comp cam or any of the valve spring shims, what you do want to do is you want to measure the inner diameter of this cup, and also you want to measure the diameter of here of your valve guide. It doesn't have to be exactly tight, but you want it as close as you can. You want a proper fit in there. Part of the reason is if it's too big, it's not going to fit in the cup. If it's too small, it's going to want to actually crush a little bit, not have even pressure. So yeah, we do explain that in a video on how to measure for that if you want to go back.
You might want to tell them if they notice in the video there's a gun laying here on the bench. I actually build guns as well as race car engines.
Oh yeah, Jimmy is a man of multi-talents. He operates a machine shop. One of the other things he is a machinist on firearms.
I'm a federally licensed.
Yes, federally licensed.
Firearms manufacturer.
Federally licensed firearms manufacturer. He also teaches classes like on concealed carry, gun safety, all of that stuff. It kind of goes hand in hand with the machining of firearms and hot rods.
I'm an old drag racer.
He's an old drag racer. In fact, what we're going to do at the end of this, I'm just going to walk you down a wall with just some of his photos, some of his trophies. Jimmy ran a front engine dragster. Always ran them on injected and injected nitro, small block Chevys, and he actually held let me find this real quick. He held a world racing record.
It's AHRA C-Gas dragster national record July of 74.
AHRA C-Class C-Gas Class Dragster, 1974. Jimmy, what was your pass on that?
780,000 foot.
780, 1,000 foot. So that's absolutely moving.
301 cubic inch engine on gasoline, pump gasoline.
Yeah, that's absolutely moving.
You couldn't get good stuff back then.
So he's got many years behind his belt of building engines, building guns, racing. Just it's that knowledge that we all dream to have one day, but unfortunately,
I don't have a USB port. I can't transfer it to you.
Yeah. All right, we're back. Jimmy's got the right amount of shims on there. As you see when he walks through, he's just adding different thickness of shims to get the right height. In some cases, you're not going to get it exactly where you need to be.
What I'm doing right now, after we measured the stack, what we needed, we put part of the shims underneath the cup.
Yep.
It still accounts for all the measurement because the cup is part of the measurement. But then you don't want to fill the cup up. You want the spring to sit in the cup so it doesn't slide off the cup. So that's why I kind of split the shims.
Right.
You have to make sure the spring stays in the cup, and then the cup is shimmed up to the bottom. And the whole world keeps on spinning and bump don't come off the camshaft.
And then we're safe to go.
Now I hope so. Finally.
Yeah. So now what Jimmy's doing is he put the valve,
Put the valve seal.
You're going to put the valve seal on. So we did, get different valve seals and all that. So basically, it's just a Viton seal, and he just lubes it up a little bit, and he's going to put a little bit more oil right there on the actual valve itself. Press it down on there, and he's got a little driver
that I make.
Yep, he's a machinist, so he can make his own tools. And he just pops that down in there. And one nice thing about doing it like this with these cups and the shims, it actually holds it in place when you go to assemble the head. So right now what he's going to do is take the actual spring with the retainer. And he's going to put the big clamp on the valve. And then he puts it on the retainer over the spring. And he clamps it down. See if I can get a better angle of that. Okay, here we go. So now that the spring is compressed in there, he's going to take a little bit of grease on the keepers. That just helps hold it into place when you're working at an angle like this. And from there, it's just clip them on in there and
Hope they stay put.
Hope they stay put, because this is a knock on wood. This is the last set of valves and springs that we need to put in these heads to get assembling. So what he's going to do is going to release the pressure on there.
Got it.
And it stayed. Nothing flew. And his last step is just popping them.
This is a no cussing Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, many of our Fridays end up with lots of phone calls, lots of cussing, and lots of just lots of craziness. So with that, that's kind of how you put a cylinder head together.
Now, explain what I'm doing.
Oh yeah. Why are you popping those, Jimmy?
Use a plastic hammer, rubber hammer. Smack all the valves to simulate the valves going up and down in the engine. It also seats the valve keepers in it, just to be on the safe side and kind of wedge, because they're tapered, it wedges them into the retainer. And it's just typical for any valve job, where it's stock or high performance. It's no different.
So yeah, there's a lot of knowledge built up over the years, and you can never be too safe. Just make sure everything's right. So yeah, that is how you put a cylinder head together by an expert machinist, whether it be with firearms or hot rods. You know what I'm gonna do real quick? We're gonna show some of just the awesome trophies and all that he's got up there. I think all the pictures are cool. He's got a lot more, but I think the coolest picture or trophy he's got up here, in my opinion, would be that one right there, Chicago Auto World, 1969, first place.
Show the car.
And the car actually is.
I don't know if you want to see
Oh, I can see it. The car is right there. It is that.
It was a 57 Chevy of my friend's. His name was Terry Taylor, out of McLean, Illinois, originally, then Bloomington. He won the International Championship car shows 68 and 69 with that red 57 Chevy. Unfortunately, those are black and white pictures they gave out at the car shows. And he was national champion 2 years in a row. The car, he's gone now, but the car still lives, and I built the engine in it, but not the chrome engine in 68. I built another engine later. And the car is back in a museum or private hands. We don't know. His daughter sold it, but he won a lot of stuff with it. He won a Javelin. He won a Roadrunner. He won tools. He won cash and everything. He was a real good friend of mine over the years.
And I'm pretty sure he ran a speed shop, didn't he?
Yes, and I built one of the engines in the 80s for him. So what he did was, I built a real engine for him in the 80s, and he used to drive it to Steak and Shake on cruise night and stuff 2 or 3 times a summer. That's the only time the car had ever seen the road, and since he built it into a show car. It never ran as a show car.
So not only did you guys learn a little bit about putting cylinder heads together, you got to see some really cool automotive history. With that, we will see you guys tomorrow. And Jimmy, we haven't had to cuss much lately. Have a good one.